car in park.
A deputy tries to stop a car for one small thing. An improper turn. A turn signal. The kind of stop that ends with a warning and a good evening. This one ends at 103 miles an hour, with a pit maneuver and 2 loaded guns. One of them stolen. Here's how a turn signal turned into felonies, and why the guy behind the wheel should have just taken the ticket.
CFS comments added.
June 14th, Lee County, Georgia. A sheriff's deputy is on patrol when he sees a Nissan Altima make an improper turn.
28 Lee County, attempting to go 1038. Adam, Tom, 1 Sam, John, A18.
That's it. That's the whole reason for the stop. Not a chase, not a felony, not a manhunt, a turn. So the deputy lights it up, fully expecting the most boring traffic stop of the night.
Put the car in park.
License, registration, quick conversation, maybe a warning. And for 1 second, that's still on the table. The driver could just pull over, but the 2 men in that Altima know something the deputy doesn't yet. There's a reason they don't want this car searched. And so, over an improper turn, the driver makes the single worst decision available to him. He runs, which is how you take a turn signal ticket and turn it into the worst night of your year.
L22 join call.
Ford, I have permission to do what I need to do.
CFS comments added.
You're gonna have to call it until I get caught up with you.
The Altima takes off, and the deputy stays with it as the speed climbs.
10-4. 42, I heard you to go behind you.
80, 90, and then 103 miles an hour on public roads over a traffic infraction that carried no jail time whatsoever.
You're gonna have to call it until I get caught up with you.
And this is the math that never adds up in these videos. The improper turn was a ticket, a small fine, a court date if you feel like fighting it. The running is a felony, fleeing from law enforcement, at speed, endangering everyone on the road.
Comments added.
The driver just voluntarily traded the smallest possible problem for one of the biggest, and he did it in about 2 seconds.
Lee County,
103 in a Nissan Altima is also not a getaway. This is not a supercar with a chance of losing the deputy. It's a commuter sedan being asked to do something it was never built to do, with a trained deputy right behind it and a radio full of backup.
Ford, I have permission to do what I need to do.
CFS comments added.
Every second at that speed is the driver spending down his own margin for error in a car that gives him less of it than almost anything else on the road. He's not outrunning anyone. He's just raising the stakes on a crash that's getting more likely by the block, for himself and for anybody unlucky enough to be at the next intersection.
You're gonna have to call it until I get caught up with you.
So the deputy ends it the clean way. He lines up the pit maneuver, taps the corner, and the Altima spins out and stops.
Let me see your hands! Let me see your hands! Stop!
No pileup, no wreck into a bystander, just a car pointed the wrong way and a chase that's suddenly over.
Get on the ground right now! Get on the ground!
300 block of Forest Parkway.
Get out! On the ground!
Both men are taken into custody, though the passenger, Deandre Lawrence, makes a brief run for it on foot first. He doesn't get far, and it turns out Lawrence had his own reason to run. He was already wanted on a probation violation warrant. So, the traffic stop he was so desperate to avoid was going to catch up with him no matter what.
CFS comments added.
Then deputies search the Altima. And now the whole panic makes sense. Inside, they find 2 loaded handguns, plus ammunition. And one of those guns was reported stolen. That's the real story here. This was never about an improper turn. 2 men, at least one a convicted felon on a warrant, running a car with 2 loaded guns and a stolen firearm inside. The turn signal was just the thread the deputy happened to pull, and the whole thing unraveled at 103 miles an hour. And it's worth sitting on how thin the margin was. If the driver just uses his blinker correctly, none of this happens. No stop, no chase, no search, and 2 loaded guns, one of them stolen. Stay in that car and roll on down the road to wherever they were headed. A convicted felon keeps a firearm he's legally barred from having. The single sloppy turn is the only reason any of it came to light.
They're northbound from 31 and a half, like Chief Renegade.
That's how a huge number of serious arrests actually happen. Not through some dramatic investigation, but through a small dumb traffic violation that a nervous person turns into a felony by running. The guns made these too dangerous. The improper turn made them catchable. And the decision to flee is the thing that connected the two. So here's how it shook out. Cameron Paulk, the driver, was charged with felony fleeing, theft by receiving stolen property, and yes, still that original improper turn. Deandre Lawrence, the passenger, was charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, on top of the warrant he was already wanted on.
300 block of Forest Parkway.
Credit where it's due. That deputy took a routine stop that instantly turned dangerous, ran it down, and ended it with a clean pit and 2 illegal guns off the street, without hurting a single bystander. That's a good night's work built on noticing one bad turn. And that's the lesson these guys never learn. If the deputy pulls you over for a turn signal, he's stopping you for a turn signal. He is not at that moment thinking about the guns in your car, because he doesn't know they exist. Running is the thing that tells him to look closer. The stop was survivable. The decision to flee is what turned a ticket into a felony, a search, and 2 men in handcuffs, 2 loaded guns off the street, a wanted felon back in custody, and not a scratch on anybody who wasn't in that Altima. That's a deputy noticing one bad turn and following the thread all the way to the end. If you'd have just taken the ticket and driven off, tell me in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.